Hello, let's talk about the Iron Curtain, this massive kind of invisible wall that's going to fall hard on Eastern Europe as a result of the end of World War II. Now, the Iron Curtain, this title comes about from Winston Churchill, who's going to visit the United States in, I believe it was 1946, goes to the state of Missouri with President Harold Truman. President Harry Truman was from Missouri, and Churchill's going to be speaking at a college there, Westminster College, and there he's talking about this new problem with the Soviets. We've just defeated Nazis in Germany, and this fascism. However, we have another problem brewing right now, and this problem is going to be very, very bad. He talks about this Iron Curtain, which has fallen down in Europe, dividing the capitalist West from the communist East. It's going to be the divide between the East and the West. Now, whenever we're talking about the East, it's important to understand this means the USSR and their allies. When we're talking about the West, this means the United States and their allies. This Iron Curtain, nothing gets in, nothing gets out. Now, if you look at this political cartoon from the time, we can see kind of what's going on here. We have this giant curtain of iron dividing stuff. We can see the sign pointing off to Russia. Okay, Russia is behind the Iron Curtain. The rest of Europe is on the other side. The train tracks stopping right there. There's no trade going back and forth. We see on one side factories brewing, progress is being made. Okay, the other side we see crumbled buildings over there. On the bottom, we see Winston Churchill peeking onto the other side, the caricature of Mr. Winston Churchill, the British Prime Minister, down below. No admittance by order of Joe Stalin. No one's getting in, no one's getting out. Now it's going to bring us to another interesting kind of problem that's going to happen. This is the city of Berlin, which is the Berlin Airlift. So the problem is outlined with Berlin. Remember, Berlin is the capital of Germany. So after World War II, we've got the Allied forces, the Americans and the British coming in from the west. We've got the Soviets coming in from the east. Now, this is going to happen. They're going to divide Germany up. So the Soviets get half of Germany to be a communist version of Germany. The capitalist and the Americans and the British get the other side of Germany to be a capitalist version of Germany. And the city of Berlin is going to be divided up even further. Now, the problem with Berlin being the capital case of the Soviets get half the capital and the others, or the West gets the other half of the capital. Now, the problem with this is the city of Berlin is located entirely within Eastern Germany. So we've got this tiny little enclave of West Germany located actually 100 miles in East Germany. Now, the problem going on is the currency is incredibly weak. Basically, the only currency that would really have any value in Berlin at this time period was cigarettes. That's about the only thing people actually wanted to be trading cigarettes for other things. Their money is weak. So the West decides, we're going to create a new currency. Now, the East does not like this. They're going to revolt and have a number of issues. They're going to be incredibly upset by this. So they're going to respond on June 23rd, 1948, blocking off the supply train into West Berlin. Now, if you're getting all of your food and supplies from West Berlin, the East can very easily block that off because it's very hard to get supply. You cannot get supplies in without going through East Germany. So block up the supply train, and we see this sitting right here. So we have the city of Berlin right here. East Berlin, the Soviet-controlled side, the French, British, and American-controlled side on the left. Okay, the western side. Berlin's going to be divided at this time period. Problems are arising. Now, it's going to bring us to the Berlin blockade, which is going to cause a number of issues. President Truman, meeting with his advisors in the Oval Office in Washington, D.C., is being advised on the problem going on here. And he's been told basically by his advisors, there are three different situations we can do. Number one is we, as the West, can withdraw all of our soldiers, all of our civilians and people from the city of Berlin. Now, if we do this, we signal defeat to the communists. They get a massive win. This is going to be problematic. Option number two is wait for a revolt. People are going to eventually revolt back and choose to become a communist on their own. It looks better for the Americans. They're not going to be retreating, but this is also not what we want. Option number three is to fight. We're going to send in the military. We're going to start a war. This is very problematic because this is about 4 or 5 years after the end of World War II. They're not wanting a war, and they do not want to start World War III. Truman, though, kind of in his ingenuity, decides there's another option. We got a bunch of these planes. We can simply fly these planes in, drop supplies over, and we're just going to keep doing this for 24 hours straight. Now, this is a great idea by Truman, and he's trying to make sure this is happening. It's really, as generals at first are going to think this isn't really feasible. The British, again, are thinking this is probably not going to work, but they're a little bit more willing to do it. However, they don't have enough planes to do this as the Americans do. So they're going to consistently do this, flying over supplies, dropping down supplies, airlift-wise, going up from West Germany, flying over it, dropping it down. They're going to do this every 15 minutes for 24 hours. These planes are going to be taking off and going. Now, it doesn't really have a huge effect on the people in West Berlin. The problem arising here is they're not getting enough supplies in as they actually need. However, it is incredibly great for morale. Ultimately, it's going to backfire on Stalin and is going to lead to kind of an American morale victory here, and it's going to hurt the Soviets. That is all for now. Any questions, comments down below? Otherwise, good luck.